Chapter 416. Gai Juyo, an unrivaled figure from 8,000 years ago. He was unrivaled throughout the world, looking down on all living beings. He was only a step away from becoming a great emperor, and it was rumored that he passed away in meditation in the great wastelands. The faintly discernible immortal music lingered in the air, as if it flowed over from ancient times. It resonated with the great Tao, filling the night sky with an indescribable charm. Under the moonlight, Xia Jiuyo was dressed in white. His eyes were clear, and his hair fluttered in the wind. It was as if he was standing in a pure land of immortals. However, there was a type of killing intent surging. At this moment, the bodies of many cultivators cracked. Their organs were about to be injured. Their souls were about to be destroyed, and even their bones were about to melt. Boundless killing intent. When the heavens released killing intent, the stars changed positions. When the earth released killing intent, dragons and snakes rose from the land. When humans released killing intent, heaven and earth were overturned. Everyone felt a chill in their hearts, quickly retreating in shock. The Nine Nether Immortal song rang out, and it contained boundless killing intent. It simply had the power to collapse the heavens and rend the earth. Xia Jiuyo was clearly standing very close, yet he gave others an extremely faintly discernible feeling, as if he was standing on the other side of the starry sky, isolated in another world that couldn't be reached. Well, the attack of an immortal king covered the heavens and earth, the large hand covering the sky dome, almost pressing to Xia Jiuyo's side, colliding intensely with the Tao sound in that world. It was like a battle between a million troops, piercing through metal and splitting stone, sweeping up the sky, like a tsunami that reached the heavens, and countless great stars fell. The two of them had just faced each other when they released world-shocking attacks. Yi Fan stood silently in the void, majestic and unmoving. He produced a small world that floated in the 9 heavens. Above his head, 10,000 streaks of mysterious yellow energy descended. He produced another him, sitting high in the 9 heavens, his appearance dignified like a god. An immortal king descending into the 9 heavens, one of the most terrifying phenomena of the ancient times. As soon as it was displayed, it had the power to rend heaven and earth, suppressing everyone. Pung. An immortal king descended into the mortal world, looking down on the common people. He walked down from above the 9 heavens, heading towards Xia Jiuyo. He wore a 9-dragon crown on his head, and he wore a 10,000 dragon robe, his might overflowing the heavens. Wang. The void trembled, almost about to be torn apart. The immortal king tore open the restriction, continuously closing in on Xia Jiuyo, wanting to break into his pure land. Clang clang. The immortal song shook the world, killing intent surging like a tide. It was as if a magnificent army was galloping forward, causing the stars and moon to lose their luster, and the sky to collapse as it obstructed the enemy. Boom. The might of the immortal king was unparalleled. His large hand continuously bombarded the Tao sound that had taken form, colliding intensely with it. The 9 Nether Immortal song was a world-renowned song. Since the ancient times, it had only been played a few times. It stood side by side with the Divine Overture, a world-shaking sound that possessed incomparable might. It could be said that it possessed the profundities of seizing the creation of the heavens and the earth, and it could obliterate all techniques in the world. If it was anyone else that came here to fight it, that person would have died without a doubt a long time ago. They would have definitely been turned into powder, and it would be utterly impossible to approach it. His divine body was unparalleled, suppressing all types of strange phenomena in the world, suppressing all types of Tao power. There was nothing that could stop his footwork, one to break through 100, impossible to resist. It was precisely because of this that the two of them seemed to be opposing each other fiercely, and they were unable to do anything to the other in a short period of time. This was a strange great battle. Xia Jiuyo's body engraved itself in the void, as if he was standing at the other end of the starry sky. The 9 Nether Immortal song was long and drawn out, shaking up this world. The immortal king arrived step by step, as if he was crossing the heavens, wishing to enter that isolated world to resist the unmatched immortal song. The faces of many people from the younger generation became pale. This type of great battle made their hearts go cold. Once the 9 Nether Immortal song appeared, who could contend against it? It could erase all methods in this world, cleanse the great Tao, hack down the heavens, possessing unmatched might. This youth with bright eyes, skin whiter than snow was truly a heaven-defying monster. With this song's small success, he could already move unhindered through the world, look down on the younger generation. No wonder he dared to call himself number one under the sky, wishing to take Yi Fan as a servant. Only the immortal king dared be this powerful, taking the initiative to attack, crossing the heavens, continuously pressing forward, relying on the unmatched irregular scenes to attack the immortal song. Clang, the immortal song sounded, heaven and earth losing color. It turned into tangible waves, as if they were streaks of great Tao symbols, suppressing downwards. Dragons and snakes rose together, phoenixes and chilans contending. The white tiger roared at the moon, life turtle rising into the sky. The immortal song moved the heavens, tangible sound waves turning into great Tao patterns. They were like all types of immortal spirits, hacking towards Yi Fan, wishing to erase the immortal king. Chang. Yi Fan was like a deity, towering and unmoving. The irregular scene's power became even greater. The immortal king attacked in his place, walking above the 9 heavens, forcing his way into that pure land, knocking on the pass. His hands moved the sun and moon, as if he was a true immortal king. It was as if he was patrolling the heavens, shattering divine patterns streak after streak, impossible to contend against. Wang. The immortal song moved. 9 great Tao patterns turned into 9 winding great rivers, rushing towards the immortal king. Yi Fan was shocked. The 9 great Tao rivers looked extremely like the 9 Bends Yellow River, possessing inconceivable power, sweeping through everything, sweeping up the heavens. Peng. The immortal king was like an abyss, deep and immeasurable. His hands formed imprints, producing the sun and moon, illuminating the starry sky, displaying the extreme mysteries of heaven and earth. Irregular scenes overflowing into the heavens. In the skies, an enormous noise sounded. The immortal king backed up. Xia Jiuya was also shaken, his clear eyes flickering with sinister radiance, but his battle intent became even stronger. Hong. The immortal king knocked on the pass, wishing to enter the pure land to resist the 9 netherworld's immortal song. This heaven and earth was about to become tattered, as if a painting scroll was shaking, about to be torn apart at any time, turned into powder. There wasn't a single person who wasn't shocked, their hearts shaken. The two were still in their youth, yet their confrontation was already this terrifying. If they ascended to the position of Holy Lord, what kind of power would there be? Xia Jiuya was definitely comparable to a young great emperor. He was only around 13 years of age, far from maturing. His vitality hadn't reached its peak yet he still possessed endless potential. It could be said that he was rarely seen since ancient times, truly a heaven-warping genius of the present world. Everyone couldn't help but sigh in admiration, almost impossible to face. There weren't many people in the younger generation who could fight a great battle against him. Yi Fan similarly made everyone's expressions change. He had just entered the 4 extreme secret realms, his divine body only having small accomplishments, yet he had this type of fighting strength, exceeding everyone's expectations. His irregular scene made everyone shiver in fear. It could be said that from now on, when his divine body appeared, the irregular scenes of others would all lose luster, unable to be displayed before him, or else they would definitely be restrained. Wang. The void trembled, and the 9 nether immortal song shook the world. It turned into a Tao diagram and flew forward, enveloping towards Yi Fan. This immediately made Yi Fan think of the natural Tao diagram interweaving between the heaven and earth. It almost destroyed his Tao foundation, and if it wasn't for the peerless divine king risking his life to make a move, he would have already fallen into a bottomless abyss. Hong. The immortal king stood in the 9 heavens with a dignified appearance. He held an immortal sword in his hand, and it was as if he was splitting heaven and earth apart. He slowly swung it, emitting a terrifying fluctuation that made people suffocate. The immortal sword suppressed the 9 heavens, and when it landed on the Tao diagram, a terrifying sound that pierced through the heavens rang out. Everyone in the divine city felt their hearts palpitate, and they were about to stop breathing. The stars and moon lost their light, and the world grew dim. Only a terrifying ocean-like aura pervaded the air, intimidating the souls and bones of many cultivators. The immortal king in the 9 heavens swayed, But he didn't fall down. He received a great impact. In another world, Xia Juyo was also trembling slightly, but the expression in his eyes became even more resplendent. He said to himself, "Only this kind of servant is worthy of me." The immortal king descends the 9 heavens, and the 9 nether immortal song clashed. And it was difficult to determine who was superior. It left everyone incomparably shocked. Xia Juyo must have some kind of connection with Gai Juyo from 8,000 years ago. He most likely obtained his inheritance, and they have the same type of constitution. Everyone quickly made this guess because at his age, he definitely couldn't comprehend a true immortal song. This was definitely an immortal song pattern that was carved by someone before him. Otherwise, once the 9 nether immortal song appeared, the world would lose color, and the sun and moon would lose their light. It possessed unimaginable power that nothing could contend against. It was because it stood side by side with the divine overture, and it wasn't any weaker than it. When the peerless divine king performed the divine song, it could be said to be world-shaking. It even erased the curse of the divine physique that had lasted for over 100,000 years, the natural Tao diagram. At this moment, the 9 nether immortal song that everyone saw was clearly far from it. It was definitely an imitation, and not an immortal song that elevated one's soul. It is related to Gai Juyo from 8,000 years ago. After making a rough guess, everyone was shocked. At the same time, everyone was also extremely fearful of Yi Fan's phenomenon. An immortal king descending the 9 heavens was only at the initial stage, and it was still far from the consummate stage. No one in this world could clearly describe its ultimate might. This kind of most terrifying ancient phenomenon contained an immortal king, and that was enough to explain everything. Is this all you've got? If that's the case, then tie yourself up with iron chains and come with me. Xia Juyo stood with his hands behind his back. He was arrogant, and it didn't match his stunning appearance at all. What do you have to be arrogant about? Yi Fan sneered. Xia Juyo had a disdainful attitude as he said, "I haven't even used my heaven-defying methods yet, so what do you have to compete with me? I have the 9 nether immortal song, and I can break through your phenomenon. Don't vainly think of fighting me in close combat. Once one's cultivation has entered the 4 extreme secret realms, one can draw upon the 4 extreme great Taos of heaven and earth, who would still fight with their physical bodies. What I use is the great Tao, and that is enough to suppress you." Clang. Dark gold battle armor appeared on Xia Juyo's body, and it was sparkling and translucent like black jade. The cold black metal made his skin look even more delicate and snow-white. With the dark gold battle armor covering his body, it made him look even more heroic. His beautiful appearance lost some of its gentleness, and his arrogance grew even stronger. His eyes were like water, and his hair was fluttering in the wind. In his hand, there was a black immortal sword. He was still standing in another world, and it was just as he had said. After comprehending the great Tao, he could imprint himself in the void and wield the great Tao of heaven and earth. Compared to the other cultivators of the 4 extreme secret realms, he was undoubtedly a transcendent existence that stood above the clouds. It's not that I'm bullying you because you just entered the 4 extreme secret realms. It's because the distance between us will only get bigger and bigger. I will advance into the dragon transformation secret realm, and you will never be able to catch up to me. Today is your final chance. Xia Juyo's dark gold battle armor flickered. His charm was exceptional, and his skin was sparkling and translucent. His eyes were clear, and the black immortal sword was intimidating. He was incomparably conceited. Be my servant, and be loyal to me for life. Others felt that this was the best time to kill Yi Fan, but he felt the exact opposite. His arrogance had reached the extreme. Little wimpy brat. Yi Fan only spat out these 3 words. Bang. Yi Fan was as unmoving as a mountain, but his blood energy soared into the heavens. The phenomenon of an immortal king descending upon the 9 heavens actually fused together with him. He himself became that immortal king, and with every movement he made, it seemed as if he could tear apart this world. Wang. The black dragon-patterned Holy Spirit sword in his hand shook. It was over 100 feet long and as heavy as a mountain, nearly collapsing space itself. Yi Fan pressed forwards, 1 step at a time. Saint body and phenomenon fused together. In the legends, he possesses unparalleled combat strength. All the cultivators were shocked. They didn't think that Yi Fan would be able to accomplish this after just entering the 4 extreme secret realms. 1. Yi Fan swung his great sword, cutting through the skies and suppressing the 9 nether immortal melody. Boom! Xia Juyo, who was imprinted in the void, swung the immortal sword in his hand and slashed downwards. A natural Dao diagram appeared and pressed downwards. He didn't approach. Just like he said, he was fighting with the great Dao and wouldn't engage in close combat. 1. The 9 nether immortal melody shook the 9 heavens. Dao sounds rang out endlessly, resounding through the starry skies. It possessed an unparalleled might, able to obliterate all tangible things. This was the prelude to the tribulation crossing immortal melody. Bang! Suddenly, Yi Fan tore open this small world and walked in with large steps. He was truly like an immortal king, his divine might unstoppable. Once the all-character of the 9 secrets appeared, his combat strength immediately increased by 10 times. Even the 9 nether immortal melody couldn't stop him. In that instant, Yi Fan tore through the 9 nether immortal melody and entered Xia Juyo's pure land. He swung the black dragon-patterned Holy Spirit sword and slashed out. Dang! Xia Juyo was shocked. His dark golden battle clothes erupted with brilliance. The black immortal sword in his hand was raised high, meeting the attack head-on. Pung! You! Xia Juyo cried out in alarm. She was so angry her face was flushed red and her fine black hair danced about. Yi Fan swung his black great sword, cutting open a small world and striking her bottom, sending her flying. If it wasn't for the dark golden battle clothes protecting her, she would have been in danger. Chapter 417. The dark gold battle armor on Xia Juyo's body was sparkling like black jade. The cold black metal blocked the fatal blow for him. Otherwise, he would have been sliced in half. His hair was fluttering and his face was flushed red. He pointed the black sword at Yi Fan. He was so angry that he couldn't speak. Boundless killing intent was spreading out. Yi Fan sliced open a small world and sent Xia Juyo flying. This shocked everyone. If it wasn't for the indestructible dark gold battle armor, this beautiful youth would have been in danger. The 9 nether immortal melody has been broken. Everyone opened their eyes wide in shock. That was the Dao sound comprehended by a peerless expert. It could destroy all tangible things in the world. Such powerful combat strength. The 9 nether immortal melody was a Dao pattern carved by the predecessors. It wasn't comprehended by Xia Juyo himself. However, it was broken by Yi Fan with his black sword. I am going to drain your saint blood. Xia Juyo's killing intent spread out as he pointed the black sword at Yi Fan. What other methods do you have? Use them all. Yi Fan faced him and pointed the black sword at the southern sky. Xia Juyo quickly calmed down. The dark gold battle armor on his body was sparkling, making him look ethereal. He said coldly, Saint Physique, you have angered me. I am going to suppress you for eternity. His entire body was glowing with divine light. The black sword in his hand looked like it had a life of its own as sword light flickered, and his killing intent rushed into the sky. Wang! Xia Juyo disappeared from his original spot, and branded himself high up in the sky. He was like a god as he slashed down with the black sword. Clang, clang, clang. 10,000 swords chimed together as tens of thousands of sword light rained down like a meteor shower. Every dazzling sword light could pierce through cultivators of the 4 extreme secret realm. He had unparalleled combat strength among the younger generation. Even cultivators of the 4 extremes could only suffer grievances when fighting against him. They couldn't block his terrifying sword light. Yi Fan used the black sword in his hand to sweep horizontally. Clanging sounds resounded as though millions of soldiers were clashing. Sword chi crisscrossed and divine light rushed into the sky as though the sky was about to be pierced. Xia Juyo was brandishing the great Dao. He became one with heaven and earth, the natural Dao. This had long exceeded the scope of techniques, rising to the domain of the Dao. Each time the black immortal sword moved, a Dao diagram would descend. Everyone was stunned. This was truly a heaven-defying monster. No wonder he dared to speak such arrogant words. He truly had the qualifications to look down on the world. His comprehension of the Dao was extremely deep, making many older generation figures blush with shame. One sword, one Tao diagram, just what kind of concept was this? The might of a single sword strike could split apart the heavens and earth. And every sword strike of his was like this. There was no sword light, only the Tao diagrams that fell down. The terrifying pressure caused one's soul to tremble. This kind of Tao of the sword was really too terrifying. Every single sword strike could kill a cultivator at the peak of 4 extremities, causing many people in the dragon transformation secret realm to feel a chill run down their spines. A heaven-defying monster. This was the thought that came to everyone's mind at the same time. It was too scary to have such a cultivation at this age. How many people in the younger generation could compete with him? Could it be the reincarnation of Gai Juyo? They both possessed the same mysterious and terrifying physique. 8,000 years ago, Gai Juyo was invincible in the world. I guess he was no more than that when he was young. Everyone was incomparably shocked. Bang! Like a flood striking the heavens, like a surging ocean, Yi Fan brandished the black greatsword. His movements weren't too fast, but he slowly slashed through the skies. The heavy sword had no edge, yet it could cut through the heavens. This was resisting the great Tao, competing with Xia Jiuyo's sword Tao. Bang! The world erupted. The black greatsword that Yi Fan swung had a heaven-shocking strength, destroying all that stood in its way. Although it was moving slowly, it was as easy as breaking dry weeds. At this moment, the phenomenon of an immortal king descending into the 9 heavens had fused together with him, possessing an inconceivable might. It cut through the natural Tao diagram, unstoppable. In the skies, the great Tao was like an abyss unfathomably deep. Xia Jiuyo was one with the heavens, wielding the black immortal sword. The trajectory of the Tao he drew was endless, never drying up. If Xia Jiuyo could be said to represent the will of the heavens and earth, incarnating into the Tao, then Yi Fan was defying the heavens, using strength to break through the Tao, cutting through all that stood in his way. Xia Jiuyo's sword and Tao diagram had stunned everyone. No matter how many cultivators at the peak of 4 extremities came, they wouldn't be enough for him to kill. But Yi Fan was able to receive all of them. This was similarly shocking. Refine your body to resemble the form of the Tao, Xia Jiuyo shouted lightly, his voice like the sound of the Tao resounding through the world. The sword Tao he swung out became even more terrifying. The Tao diagrams were like an abyss, each one extremely terrifying, wanting to seal Yi Fan. Wang. The void trembled. A green lotus appeared, primal chaos mist curling about it. With a light shake, many Tao diagrams shattered. Primal chaos lotus. This ancient phenomenon appeared, accompanying Yi Fan at his side, immediately achieving success. Yi Fan wielded the dragon-patterned black gold Holy Spirit sword, his appearance dignified. He stood in the 9 heavens, black and yellow energy curling around his body. He also operated his immortal king phenomenon to the extreme. With 2 great phenomena supporting him, he walked forward step by step, incomparably resolute. The black greatsword pointed at Xia Jiuyo. No matter how the sword diagram flew over, there was only a single sword to break it. If I can't capture you alive, then I'll just kill you, Xia Jiuyo shouted loudly. His hair danced in the air, his eyes suffused with divine light. At this moment he branded himself in the void. The space between his brows blossomed with 7-colored divine light. Tens of thousands of auspicious lights falling down. It was as if an archaic god had been revived, making everyone's hearts palpitate. Divine Eye. Heavens, it really is the Divine Eye. He definitely obtained Gai Jiuyo's inheritance. It's a supreme divine technique of the same origin. Everyone was stunned. The space between Xia Jiuyo's brows blossomed with 7-colored light. The divine eye that could see through everything in the world opened. That was a sparkling and beautiful eye, but it emitted terrifying fluctuations. It shot out like a rainbow-colored waterfall, striking towards Yi Fan. The divine eye, as its name implied, could produce the magic power of a deity when it reached the extreme realm. It could destroy all enemies. Dong. The divine light shot down, striking the dragon-patterned black gold sword, until it was buzzing and trembling, shaking Yi Fan's arm until it was numb. If it was an ordinary person, they would have long since died. Dang. Another beam of divine light descended and collided with the primal chaos green lotus, causing the heaven and earth to tremble violently. The terrifying divine technique could almost draw upon the power of a deity. Even a dragon transformation realm cultivator would be pierced through. The divine eye was world-shaking and possessed inconceivable power. Everyone inhaled a breath of cold air, causing many of the older generation to feel a chill down their spines. If they were to face this heaven-defying monster, they would most likely die with a grievance. Xia Jiuyo's arrogance soared to the heavens. As expected, he had the qualifications to look down on the younger generation. The more they understood, the less angry they felt. Dong. The seven-colored waterfall shot out by the divine eye once again struck the dragon-patterned black-gold Holy Spirit sword, causing it to buzz and tremble. Its power was as great as the heavens. Yi Fan coldly snorted. He carried the holy sword on his back and let out a long roar. His entire body erupted with boundless radiance, looking like an ancient golden god of war. This is the indestructible golden body. His saint physique has indeed reached minor completion. He has condensed a unique indestructible golden body. The primal chaos green lotus and the immortal king descending from the 9 heavens fused into one with Yi Fan. His entire body was resplendent and surging with divine flames as if he was cast from gold. He was filled with a powerful sensation, and even his hair was dyed with a golden luster. It was as if a golden divine flame was throbbing. His entire person was like an awakened deity. Golden blood chi rushed into the sky as a terrifying ocean-like fluctuation surged. An incomparably powerful aura erupted. Yi Fan took a step into the sky and waved his golden fist towards the sky. The indestructible golden body had awakened. He needed an indomitable aura in order to unleash his boundless potential. Boom. Every movement of his was as heavy as a mountain, causing the void to tremble. The golden fist collided with the seven-colored waterfall, causing the sky to tremble like a tsunami. This was a resplendent energy storm that drowned out the entire night sky. Yi Fan used the indestructible golden body to resist the divine eye as he closed in on Xia Jiuyo step by step. The flesh of the saint physique is too terrifying. No wonder he survived the heavenly tribulation. Even if Xia Jiuyo's magic power is overwhelming, if the saint physique gets close to him, he can only die with regret. After the saint physique was achieved, Yi Fan's indestructible golden body was incredibly dazzling. He was like an ancient emperor walking in the mortal world, impervious to all techniques. It was very difficult to injure him in the slightest. Xia Jiuyo was finally moved. He no longer felt as if everything was under his control, like he did in the past. He was slightly unable to remain calm. If he was forced over by the other party, the consequences would be unthinkable. If I can't take you as my servant, I'll extract all of your saint blood and completely destroy you. The 9 underworld celestial song rang out again, and the heavenly voice of the great Tao shook the mortal world, wanting to destroy one's soul. It could obliterate all techniques in the world, cleanse the great Tao, and slash down from the heavens. Immediately afterwards, the celestial voice shook, and the aura became even more terrifying. In just an instant, countless cultivators were trembling with fear. This is heavens, the divine song is continuing. This is the Tribulation Transcendence Celestial Song. The 9 Underworld Celestial Song is the prelude, and what follows is the Supreme Tribulation Transcendence Celestial Song. This is a young brat, and it's also a little girl with soaring arrogance. She's too powerful. Even the large black dog, who had seen many things, was secretly astonished. Everyone knew that this was Gai Jiuyo's supreme comprehension, and only he had been able to perform it 8,000 years ago. Once the Tribulation Transcendence Divine Song was performed, the whole world would submit to him. Xia Jiuyo was still too young, so it was impossible for him to have this kind of spiritual advancement. He was only performing the Tribulation Transcendence Divine Song based on the comprehension of his predecessors. Even so, it was extremely terrifying, and its destructive power was too great when used against enemies. It could be said that it could practically sweep through all enemies. Yi Fan also sensed great danger. His indestructible golden body shone brilliantly, and golden divine flames burned fiercely. He was like a god that had been reborn from fire. At this moment, he also displayed his lovely land and mountains, as well as the yin-yang diagram of life and death. He combined them with his body, and then strode forward. Young master, don't. When the tribulation transcendence divine song rang out, the two gray-robed elders in the distance shouted loudly, "If you haven't reached the dragon transformation mystery realm, you can't perform this song." Dong. The first strike of the tribulation transcendence divine song arrived, and it was as if the world was turning upside down. The entire world was filled with celestial sounds and divine radiance, and it was as bright as day. The supreme wonderful sound flowed over from the archaic era. Yi Fan was immediately sent flying 600 zhang away. The entire sky was about to be overturned, and the supreme power was vast and mighty. What a powerful celestial song! Yi Fan's body shook intensely, and he stabilized his figure with great difficulty. His indestructible golden body became even more brilliant, and his entire body seemed to be cast in gold. Golden blood energy rushed into the heavens. Everyone was stunned. The tribulation transcendence divine song actually didn't penetrate him. Everyone was stupefied. This is merely the opening move of the tribulation transcendence divine song. Let's see how you are going to endure it. Xia Jiuyo's skin was whiter than snow, and his eyes were bright. He was truly a heaven-defying monster. Young master, stop. Don't continue. You can't use it with your current realm. The two gray-robed elders shouted anxiously. The tribulation transcendence divine song rang out again, and this world seemed like it was going to collapse. The stars moved and dragons and snakes rose from the land. The world turned upside down, and the sun and moon fell at the same time. Chang. Suddenly, the tribulation transcendence divine song came to a screeching halt, unable to continue. Xia Jiuyo spat out a mouthful of blood with a pu sound, and his body was on the verge of collapse. This song could be said to be heaven-defying, almost like a deity. Even though it was an imitation, and it wasn't a sublimation of his own comprehension, it wasn't something he could currently play. Whoosh! Yi Fan was like a comet that tore through the sky. He immediately rushed forward and lifted Xia Jiuyo up, and his entire body shone with endless divine radiance. Everyone was stunned. Being forced so close by a divine body, one didn't even need to think to know the terrifying consequences. It was because this was a precious body that had experienced heavenly tribulation. Be lenient. The two gray-robed elders shouted loudly. Don't kill him. The Crimson Dragon Taoist also transmitted sound. You must not harm his life. Jiang Yun secretly transmitted sound. When Yi Fan heard this, he didn't deal the killing blow. He lifted Xia Jiuyo up, and then brandished his large golden palm, and fiercely smacked her bottom. Pa. Although Xia Jiuyo suffered the backlash of the tribulation transcendence divine song, he didn't faint. He was still very clear-headed, and he was shocked, angry. He shouted, "I'll fight you to the death." Little brat. Yi Fan ridiculed. He didn't stop. His golden palm moved again, and he ruthlessly slashed again. Many cultivators were dumbfounded. The heaven-defying monster Xia Jiuyo looked down on the younger generation, but he was actually treated like a child. Xia Jiuyo looked down on his peers, but his illustrious reputation was tainted. Today he was beaten by the sacred body of the ancients like this. Even if he became unparalleled in the future, and was comparable to the great emperors of ancient times, he still wouldn't be able to wash it away. Chapter 418. Xia Jiuyo's arrogance soared to the sky as he looked at the younger generation with disdain. As soon as the tribulation passing immortal song was played, the stars moved, the moon dimmed, and the heaven and earth became chaotic. It shocked the world. The supreme sect masters of the central plains were visibly moved, and many of the younger generation paled. However, at this moment, this peerless genius was being spanked. This was a great contrast. Since the ancient times, he was so talented that he could look down on his peers. In the entire Eastern Barren continent, not many could compete with him. But now, he was being treated like a disobedient child, and was being taught a lesson. Everyone's jaws dropped and they couldn't believe it. That's Xia Jiuyo we're talking about. He played the peerless tribulation passing immortal song, and killed his peers as easily as plucking grass. He can be compared to the young great emperor, but he's being subdued like this. Many cultivators and countless experts were dumbstruck. Xia Jiuyo was flustered and exasperated. He struggled violently and moved his arms and legs. However, the tribulation-passing immortal song rebounded, and he couldn't muster any strength to injure Yi Fan. "Little brat, let's see how arrogant you can be." Yi Fan really treated him like a child. He smiled while swinging his golden palm. Pa! Pa! Crisp sounds echoed. Xia Jiuyo's eyes were spewing fire, and his tears were about to flow out. He shouted, surnamed Yi. "I'm not done with you." He was a top expert of the younger generation. Ever since he was born, he had been surrounded by countless halos. Now he was being treated like a naughty child. How could he endure this? Had a young great emperor ever been spanked before? Never before. He was about to cry and had the urge to bite someone. He was so angry that he almost fainted. Little Yi is too cruel. It's even worse than killing Xia Jiuyo. Li Heishui smiled. Xia Jiuyo is arrogant and thinks he's the best. He deserves to be beaten up like this. Tu Fei also laughed. I can't deny that he's a peerless genius. Once he enters the dragon transformation secret realm and plays the tribulation-passing immortal song, who can compete with him? Someone was worried. Little brat, do you accept it? Yi Fan revealed a smile. I refuse to accept this. Xia Jiuyo shouted unyieldingly. He struggled with all his might. His eyes were filled with tears, and his black hair fell down like a waterfall. His Adam's apple suddenly disappeared, and the heroic spirit on his face disappeared. A girl. She's a little girl. Her disguise is gone. In the distance, everyone was shocked. They never expected Xia Jiuyo to be such a young lady. No wonder she had red lips and white teeth, so beautiful. Oh my God, so it's a little girl with a soaring arrogance. This is too valiant. Everyone was flabbergasted. When they thought about how a 13 or 14-year-old little girl was so domineering and unrivaled among her peers, they all felt as if they had eaten a dragon, their mouths gaping, unable to utter a single word. Xia Jiuyo's jet black hair fluttered while her skin was snow-white and crystalline, as if it was carved from fine jade. She was extremely like an exquisite porcelain doll, beautiful and dazzling. I'll fight you to the death. Xia Jiuyo bared his fangs and brandished his claws. His large eyes were filled with tears, and a single blink of his long eyelashes would cause tears to trickle down, causing him to vividly display his willfulness and stubbornness. Swoosh! Light flashed. 2 gray-clothed elders arrived, both of them expressionless. One of them said, "The outcome has been decided. Please let go of our young master." At the same time, Jiang Yun also flew into the night sky. He was afraid that Yi Fan was young and impetuous, killing Xia Jiuyo, so he also said, "Let her go." It was very clear that Xia Jiuyo had an extremely great background. Even someone from the Jiang family came forward to plead for her, which was enough to explain everything. Yi Fan let go, rubbing her beautiful hair into a mess. Then he casually gave her a knock and said, "Behave yourself in the future." Ah! Xia Jiuyo screamed in anger, tears flowing out from her eyes from the pain. However, she was firmly held back by the 2 gray-clothed elders. In the night sky, light flashed. They used the profound jade platform to cross the void and leave, disappearing without a trace in the blink of an eye. Even though Xia Jiuyo was defeated, she was still dazzling. Her performance was enough to shock the world. The 2 gray-clothed elders felt restraining fear, not daring to let her stay here for long. This was because she was only around 13 years old. She was far from being an adult, and her blood vitality hadn't reached its peak yet. She still had endless potential to be dug out. Moreover, once the immortal tribulation song was played, whether it was the Eastern Wasteland Holy Masters or the Supreme Sect Masters of the Central Province, all of them would have strange thoughts. Is there anyone else who wants to fight me? Yi Fan stood beneath the night sky, shrouded in moonlight. A layer of pure radiance flowed around him, making him appear peaceful and tranquil. It was completely different from the fierce battle just now where his blood vitality soared to the heavens. But no one would be fooled by his harmless appearance. This was absolutely a dormant dragon. Since he had defeated the insufferably arrogant Xia Jiuyo, just how many people would dare to step forwards? The golden-winged little Peng had an intimidating appearance. As he grasped the great desolate halberd, he was like a demon god. He wanted to rush forwards, but the old Peng King pressed down on his shoulder, making him unable to move or even speak. Yi Fan glanced at Alcate Saint, Ji Clan's godly king physique, innate Dao embryo, Yao Shi and the others. The outstanding disciples of the sacred grounds were all calm, and didn't say anything. The Divine Body and Yao Guang Saint were definitely the top figures of the Eastern Barren Territory's younger generation. However, they didn't want to fight at all. Many people felt it was a pity. Most of the cultivators had come to a consensus that it would be extremely difficult for people from the 4 extreme secret realms to kill Yi Fan, unless they entered the Dragon Transformation secret realm, and suppressed him to death. Of course, ordinary Dragon Transformation secret realm cultivators would not be able to do it, unless they were at the level of a holy sun. The 4 extreme secret realms corresponded to the 4 limbs of the human body, and could draw upon the great Tao. There were a total of 4 realms, and every realm was like the distance between the heavens. For someone of a lower realm to kill someone of a higher realm would be like going against the natural order, and slaying a celestial being. It would be very difficult for them to succeed. But now, Yi Fan was only at the initial stage of the 4 extremities, and it was already enough to kill experts at the consummate level. This result was chilling. This was the power of the sacred body. No one dared to challenge or kill him in this secret territory. Even though no one came out, endless killing intent pervaded the air. Under the moonlight, the divine city was bone-piercingly cold as if winter had arrived. Yi Fan could vaguely see that the road ahead of him was filled with the flames of war. He was afraid that he would really follow in the footsteps of great Emperor Wu Shi, and become the enemy of the entire world. Now no one came out to fight him because they didn't have the confidence. In the future there would definitely be a huge battle. And at that time, it would be a battle of life and death. The only thing he could do was to enter the Dragon Transformation secret realm as soon as possible. This way, he wouldn't have to fear any challenges from the younger generation, and could even sweep through the world. Many sect leaders from the middle ground frowned. The sacred body was already so powerful at the initial stage. They thought of the few king tiers from the middle ground. In the short term, they might be able to contend against the sacred body, but what would happen in the future? This was a worrying problem. The sacred body of the Great Completion could challenge the great emperor of the ancient times. Every time they thought about it, it was hard to let go of this thought. Maybe killing it early was the only choice. Yi Fan stood in the night sky and smiled brilliantly. His teeth were snow-white and sparkling, and he looked like he was only 15 or 16 years old. There was still a trace of immaturity about him. At this age, this kind of cultivation made all the saint children silent. Many great powers felt uneasy, and many people had an indescribable feeling in their hearts. Yi Fan asked 3 times, but not a single person replied. No one from the younger generation stood out to fight against him. Ji Clan's divine physique, demon race's heavenly devil physique. It wasn't that there weren't any young kings who could fight against him, but not a single person stood out. Yi Fan stood alone under the moonlight. He asked all the experts of the same generation, but no one dared to fight against him. This was the first time he established his prestige. After tonight, his name was destined to shake the entire younger generation. The Supreme Divine King walked up. Although his eyes were dim, his heroic bearing didn't decrease, causing everyone to revere him. He arrived in front of Yi Fan and extended his hand. A resplendent radiance entered Yi Fan's body. That's the Divine King's imprint. With this imprint, no matter who kills the divine physique, the Divine King will sense it. Everyone was shocked. The Divine King wanted to protect the divine physique to the end, but how many days would he have left? He was already at the end of his rope. A great battle ended, and the winds and clouds of the night all dissipated. The Supreme Divine King was about to fall. The divine physique's curse was broken, and he could look down on the younger generation. The divine city's years were endless, but this night was enough to be engraved in it. This was the beginning of a great era. Something unprecedented in the post-ancient era. That night, the news quickly spread out. The eastern wasteland was shaken, and the central plains was stirred up. This was destined to be a great uproar that wouldn't calm down in a short period of time. In the following days, many cultivators came to visit and befriend him. There were people from various holy lands, ancient aristocratic families, and even the inheritors of various great sections. Yi Fan couldn't leave. It could be said that his door was as crowded as a marketplace. He almost didn't have any free time. There were people inviting him and visiting him every day. It was very tiring, but he had no choice but to deal with them. Everyone was very enthusiastic, but how many of them were sincere? He didn't know that if he failed to break through, there might be a different result. During these days, he had always been with the Divine King, humbly asking for advice. At the same time, he hoped that a miracle could happen and save the Divine King's life. He really didn't want him to fall. However, the Divine King's eyes became increasingly dim, almost becoming a deathly gray without a trace of luster. Divine King, just eat the Qilin divine medicine seed. The Divine King shook his head and didn't say anything else. He was going to return to the Jiang clan and leave the Divine City. He wanted to go back and see the extreme Yin physique. During these days, Yi Fan met Yao Yuekong, the great Xia prince, Jin Qishao, Su Heng, the white-clothed nun, and many others, but he still didn't go see in Miaoyi. This was because he hadn't taken a step out yet. The divine physique had just formed. According to the Feng clan's intentions, they wanted him to live in seclusion for 100 years. He couldn't come out until he became a divine lord-level character. This was indeed a safe idea. He could endure 100 years of solitude in exchange for 10,000 years of prosperity. In the future, he could rule the world for 10,000 years. He could imagine that the Jiang clan and the Feng clan would definitely do their best to nurture him. He didn't need to worry about his cultivation needs at all. 100 years is too far away. Yi Fan looked up at the other side of the starry sky. He couldn't wait that long. He wasn't surprised that the Wind Phoenix hadn't appeared. The Feng clan had only entered the Divine City to test him. They had never said before that they would definitely form a marriage alliance. If he failed to break through, he definitely wouldn't even mention it. Before this, the best choice was to not let the Wind Phoenix appear. He could advance or retreat. Now that he had successfully broken through, the Wind Phoenix still hadn't come. The people of the Feng clan covered it up, saying that she was in seclusion to break through to the dragon transformation realm, and should arrive within 10 days. In reality, the Pearl of the Feng clan disdained marriage alliance from the start. She clearly said that she would never marry a divine physique. Even though he had successfully broken through, the princess of the Feng clan was still incomparably arrogant and wouldn't come at all. The people of the Feng clan were trying their best to persuade her. Chapter 419. Brother Yi, why do I hear that you are very familiar with the fairy of Miaoyu Nunnery? Feng Lai asked. Yi Fan glanced at him and said, Why do you ask? I'm doing this for your own good. My sister is proud and arrogant. Even if you have a divine physique, she may not care about you. Don't spread any more rumors, Feng Lai warned. Last time, he was ordered to test Yi Fan, but Yi Fan did not recognize him and beat him up fiercely, putting on a happy farce of a brother-in-law beating his brother-in-law. At that time, Feng Lai was flustered and exasperated. He swore that he would not let go of Yi Fan, but seeing him succeed in breaking through, he immediately lost his temper. Brother Yi, how can I meet Fairy Miao Yi? Give me some advice. I want to meet her with some friends, Feng Lai asked in a low voice, afraid that the elders would hear. No wonder you are so concerned about her. Yi Fan glanced at him and said earnestly, Don't be so naughty at such a young age. Don't go to that kind of place. You are 2 years younger than me, Feng Lai murmured. He secretly despised him, but he did not dare to show it. What are you waiting for? Yi Fan glared at him. I said I want to broaden my horizons. How about this, Brother Yi, you take us there? I swear I won't tell my sister, Feng Lai urged. Yi Fan was speechless. This brother-in-law of his was really outrageous. He immediately slapped him and said, What nonsense are you talking about? It's not like you haven't been to that place before. Don't pretend to be serious in front of me. Feng Lai was very dissatisfied and muttered in an inaudible voice. Yi Fan was so angry that he laughed. This guy was really different. He wanted to go to Miaoyu Nunnery with him. If the Holy Lord of the Feng clan knew, he would definitely break his legs. Don't worry. This is not a test or a test. I don't want to be beaten by you again. Go somewhere cool and stay. Yi Fan glared at him and ignored him. Now that he had a small success holy physique, he didn't know how many pairs of eyes were staring at him. If he wasn't careful, he might be killed. You're so boring. Feng Lai flicked his sleeves and left. Yi Fan rubbed his chin. He wanted to laugh but couldn't. Even if he wanted to see in Miaoyi, it was impossible for him to go with Feng Lai. Not long after, Feng Lai returned and said, Brother Yi, one of the ancestors in the clan said to let us accompany you out for a stroll. We will be leaving the divine city soon. Yi Fan's expression changed. Now was a sensitive time. It was not a good idea to go out and walk around. He did not understand why the Feng clan would make such a decision. But there's no harm in going. This is the Supreme Divine King's idea. He is about to leave and wants to take action one last time. An elder of the Wind clan walked into the room. Yi Fan's heart skipped a beat. Divine King Jiang didn't have much time left. This was going to be the last deterrence, and it was very possible that he would never appear again. The divine city was as prosperous as before. The streets were filled with endless streams of people in carriages. Especially the recent disturbance caused by the breakthrough of the holy physique, it attracted many cultivators. Feng Lai's friends were either descendants of holy lands or descendants of ancient clans. Each of them had a great background. The men were heroic and vigorous, and the women were beautiful like flowers and the moon. They were truly a group of officials. Feng Lai, your little brother-in-law is a mess. Do you feel a lot of pressure? On the night of the full moon, I saw the terror of the holy physique with my own eyes. He resisted the tribulation celestial song alone. Our fellow saints were all intimidated, and no one dared to make a move. Your sister is older than him by 3 years. Even you are older than him by 2 years. Do you feel awkward calling him brother-in-law? Some men and women teased Feng Lai and didn't notice Yi Fan in the distance. There were also some people who looked unhappy. They were the pursuers of the Wind Phoenix and didn't want this marriage to succeed. The Wind Phoenix hasn't come yet. I heard that she disdains marriage and doesn't want to see the holy physique at all. Moreover, the Feng clan hasn't officially made a decision yet. Everything is still uncertain. The Wind Phoenix's beauty can make the fish sink and the beasts fall from the sky. Her beauty can outshine the moon and put the flowers to shame. She is absolutely stunning. At the age of 13, she created a divine technique. It's understandable that she doesn't choose the holy physique. The holy physique can't even cultivate before. Even if he successfully breaks through, who knows what will happen in the future? It's full of uncertainty. The Feng clan doesn't need to be too worried about him. The teasing at the beginning was still acceptable, but the words at the end made Feng Lai's expression change. He said, Don't talk nonsense. I say, Feng Lai, what's wrong with you? Don't you also dislike that holy physique? That's right. Didn't you get beaten up not long ago? Why are you speaking up for him? What nonsense are you guys talking about? Feng Lai stopped them. He didn't think that these people would say such things. The corner of Yi Fan's mouth revealed a trace of a smile. He strolled over. His eyes were clear, and his hair fluttered in the wind. He was as otherworldly as a banished immortal with an agile elegance. Holy physique, the people who spoke just now were all nervous and quickly shut their mouths. Even their saint children and junior brothers were afraid of the person in front of them, let alone them. Yi Fan's holy physique had just been formed. He fought against the unparalleled genius Xia Jiuyo on a moonlit night, and intimidated everyone in the younger generation. Now, how many people dared to compete with him? When they thought of the immortal king descending to the 9 heavens, and the primal chaos green lotus, these people still felt fear and trepidation. There was no need to mention Yi Fan's golden blood energy rushing into the heavens, and his terrifying physical body, that was comparable to a real dragon. Brother Yi. Everyone greeted him one after another. Among them, a few young men were very nervous. They were afraid that Yi Fan would take their words seriously. On the other hand, a few women among them were very lively. Their eyes shone as they went up to talk to Yi Fan. We've personally witnessed Brother Ye's prowess. We've also heard that your Genesis technique is unparalleled. I wonder if you can broaden our horizons. Yeah, there's a stone square in the sacred land up ahead. Why don't we see it? The women's eyes were bright and kind, and they all had smiles on their faces as they spoke. Yi Fan did not turn them down. He wanted to try in the stone squares with a sliver of hope. He wanted to cut out an immortal herb to save the divine king and little Ting Ting. After all, The purple qilin was only a seed. Although it could increase lifespan, it was definitely not as good as a mature herb. It probably could not heal the root. Unfortunately, he did not cut out a single stone after half a day because he had used everything he had, including the origin god's divine sense, but he still could not find the immortal herbs he needed. He could only sigh. The reason why immortal herbs were so precious was because they were just too rare. They could only be found by luck. Even in the primordial era, there were not many of them. Was the Supreme Divine King really going to die? Yi Fan was really unwilling to accept this. He finally became even more determined and continued to collect the divine origin stone skin. In the past few days, Yi Fan did not appear in the outside world. Now that he was walking in the stone squares, he immediately attracted a lot of attention. Many cultivators were extremely enthusiastic. Yi Fan's last stop was the Ji family's stone square. He wanted to find the Stone King again, but he was completely disappointed in the end. Brother Yi, congratulations on breaking the curse. Congratulations. The great success Saint Body is finally going to reappear in the world. Brother Yi, I've arranged a banquet at the Drunken Immortal Tower. Let's not stop until we're drunk. It was like everyone knew him. There were enthusiastic greetings everywhere. Yi Fan replied with a smile until his expression gradually became numb. In the end, he had no choice but to leave. Boom. On the way back, there was an earth-shattering sound. The sky cracked. The Supreme Divine King attacked and killed all the people in the dark with a single strike. The expressions of many cultivators in the Divine City changed. They were extremely shocked. The Supreme Divine King was about to pass away, but he still had such battle prowess. It made people feel uneasy. In particular, those who had ulterior motives all hid themselves and did not dare to attack again. The arrival of the Wind Phoenix was so sudden that it made everyone feel deeply surprised. Even the people of the Wind Clan did not receive the news beforehand. They only knew the pearl of their clan had arrived when they saw her. The Wind Phoenix was famous in the Eastern Barren Territory. She was the pearl of the Wind Clan. Not only was she extremely beautiful, but her cultivation talent was also extremely shocking. She had created a divine art at the age of 13, and even fought the little Pung King to a draw. After seeing her, Yi Fan felt that the woman matched her name very well. She was graceful and elegant. She wore a colorful dress that seemed to be woven from the feathers of the phoenix. It was dazzling and flowed with colorful light. It was extremely dazzling. The legendary peerless beauty could not be seen because she was wearing a phoenix mask on her face. It was overflowing with brilliance, and it was impossible to see through it. Her celestial body flowed with a layer of sparkling radiance. She was incomparably holy. Her figure was slender and elegant. Her waist was very slim, and the curves of her body were perfect without a single flaw. Her entire body flickered with multicolored light, making it difficult for people to look straight at her. In reality, she was like a proud immortal phoenix. She raised her flawless and sparkling chin, revealing her swan-like snow-white neck. She was incomparably arrogant and said, "I will never marry you." Yi Fan smiled and did not say anything. His expression was very calm. The Wind Phoenix was dazzlingly beautiful. Her black hair flickered with sparkling radiance. Her entire body was like jade and dazzling. She raised her head arrogantly and said, "So what if you have a sacred body? I, the Wind Phoenix, am not interested. I don't care what arrangements the clan had in the past. From today onwards, we have nothing to do with each other." In reality, you don't need to say these things to me. You can directly find the Wind Clan's Divine Lord and explain everything to him. Wouldn't everything be over after that? Yi Fan calmly said. There is no need for you to say these things. I naturally know. I only want you to understand that it is impossible for us to be engaged. The phoenix's voice was clear and pleasant to the ears. However, the meaning behind it was not gentle at all. All right, you're done, and I've also heard everything. You can go to the Wind Clan's Divine Lord now. Yi Fan drank his tea as if he did not care in the slightest. The Wind Phoenix's multicolored light swirled about as if she was a fairy from the Nine Heavens Palace who accidentally fell into the mortal world. She still raised her head as if she was standing high above the clouds. She lightly snorted and swept her phoenix eyes over Yi Fan a few times. The Wind Clan's people rushed over after hearing the news. Several older generation figures entered the room one after another. Our little princess came. Why didn't you come to see us rotten old men? The elders all had smiles on their faces. It was clear that they doted on the Wind Phoenix. The Wind Phoenix gracefully greeted them. Her voice was delicate and gentle. She knew how to win the favor of these elders. Why did our Wind Clan's Pearl say that just now? It seemed like the elders all heard what she said. The Wind Phoenix was graceful and elegant. She gently shook her head and said with a sweet voice, "Elders, I don't want to be engaged to the divine physique at all." "Why?" an elder asked. "I should be the one asking why. Why do you want to be engaged to him?" The Wind Phoenix countered. The elders were tongue-tied. There were some words that they really could not say in front of Yi Fan. Otherwise, they would appear too realistic even though everyone knew. So what if he has a divine physique? I have never had any interactions with him. I have never known him. Even if I really want to be engaged, I still want to choose someone who can become a great emperor, and not a pseudo-great emperor. The Wind Phoenix raised her head. Her skin was sparkling and multicolored light swirled about. Her voice was moving as she said, "Even in terms of strength, I myself have hope of reaching that step. Why do I want to be engaged to him?